Trying to fix my ice maker on this Frigidaire French door refrigerator. We were having a problem where the ice would just clump up into these big old clumps, and we'd emptied it out, and within the next day it was all clumped up again. So I've already disassembled this according to the instructions or the video that I have linked in the description. So, and here's what I found. So first of all, when I took the ice tray out, you can see that the ice tray is cracked. So that's my problem right there. Water is just leaking into the ice tray, from the ice tray into the bin, and then it freezes down there and it just creates a big mess. And this model is kind of notorious anyway for having problems with draining back here. This is the drain, so you can see there's a huge amount of ice built up on there, and on this unit as well there's a lot of ice built up on it. So I'm going to clean this all up, and then I will get a order a new replacement part and put it back together. One of the other problems we've been having with this unit is the ice selector between crushed and cube. It's always doing crushed ice, so might as well take a look at that now that I have it out. It's been broken for a little while actually. So this little plunger going down and the solenoid up at the top is supposed to control that and actuate it up and down. You can see that it's actually stuck. It's not moving at all. So I don't know if it's frozen up there or not. I'm going to take it off and see if I can figure it out, or it could just be that the solenoid itself is bad. Okay, so I have the solenoid out, and already I see a problem. One of the plastic tabs is broken. And next, I'm going to check continuity of the solenoid with the multimeter on resistance, and you can see that it's open, which means the solenoid is blown. It's not good anymore. So, need to replace the solenoid assembly too.
Okay, so I got the replacement parts. Unfortunately, the little cheap plastic tray, they don't sell that as a standalone part, at least that I could find. If anybody can find one, go ahead and leave a comment below. But so they sell it as this whole assembly, which includes the bracket and the motor that turns it, and then the ice tray itself. So I'll put that in. I did read some reviews of this part, and they said that this motor, some people were complaining this motor fails, so I'll keep the old one just in case, so I can replace it if needed. And of course I got the new solenoid assembly with the paddle. So next, I did put everything back together after I was looking at it the other day, so I'm going to take everything out and get the new parts put in. So I got the whole assembly out. I'll have to take this wiring out, so there's these zip ties in there, so I'll cut that off, and then I can also replace the solenoid assembly in there as well. So the solenoid assembly is held into place by these two screws, so I'll just take this out with the nut driver. So you got to remember the order of the wires here. So I have this light blue wire on the top, and then the white striped dark blue wire on the bottom, and I got the new part here. So I'll plug that in, and the holes are not threaded on these parts, so you kind of have to put some pressure on it when you're screwing the new part in. So I'll do that next. So let me just show you something. Remember how this plunger wasn't moving in the old solenoid? Well, when you look inside there, you can see it's all swollen up inside too. So this definitely was bad, and you could see that it was all shorted out too when I measured it with the multimeter. So I got the new part mounted in there. Alright, so you can see the plunger does move freely in here now, and we got the new solenoid mounted. One last thing I want to do before I put everything back in is I want to defrost in here. So the drain hole behind here is packed with ice, so I'm going to try to melt that out with a steam cleaner. The steam cleaner worked really well to melt all the ice out of that drain hole, so just got to reassemble it, get everything back together. Good news and bad news. The good news is that we do have ice.
But the bad news is that was on cube setting, so the solenoid's still not working. I'm going to try to look at that real quick and see if we can figure out what's going on. So a couple possibilities about that new solenoid I put in. First of all, the new solenoid could be bad. But remember when I had measured the resistance across it, it was shorted. So maybe it's not getting any voltage. Maybe the being shorted actually damaged some components. So looking at the wiring diagram, so you see the solenoid is right here. And it looks like the light blue line is just the shared common line. The blue and white just goes straight back to the main board. There's no fuse or anything in between. So if it's not getting voltage, that probably means this main board is bad. So I'll do some probing to see if the voltage is actually there or not. It could just be a bad new part that I got, but we'll verify. Okay, so checking if the solenoid's getting voltage or not. These are the two connectors that come from the main board, and then it goes back there. So this is a good place to probe. So I'm gonna probe the voltage here. Remember the light blue was the common, and then the blue and white stripe is the voltage to the solenoid, and then this purple is the voltage to the auger motor. So it'd be good to compare both of those, make sure that we're getting good readings. So I'm probing on the blue and white stripe and the light blue, which is going to the solenoid. And if you look down, we're getting 53, almost 54 volts. Go ahead and push that button in. All right. And we just pushed the ice dispenser and the voltage did not change. It stayed at 54. Now let's do a sanity check and switch to the purple to see if the auger motor is going. So probing on the purple, which is the auger motor. So let's go ahead and push the door latch and go ahead and push the ice dispenser. And it went up to 118, 119 volts. So the auger motor is getting power, but the solenoid is not. So that means that we're not getting power to the solenoid. So here's where we are. It does look like this main board does need to be replaced. That's where the power is coming from and are supposed to be coming from. So I've priced out that part. It looks like it's going to be about $125. I'll put a link in the description of the parts list, or the parts diagram, and the part numbers of all the parts that I've used and bought for this project. I don't know if I'm going to replace it right now. We've lived without the cube ice for a little bit here. It's not a huge priority. We've hardly even noticed it, but I will replace it. I think I'm going to save that for a video down the road though. It does look like it's going to be pretty easy to replace. Looking at where it is in the unit, pretty easy to access and to get to, but I'll save that for down the road. So right now we do have at least ice working again, and we're able to get crushed ice out of it. So I think it's a good place to stop for this. Hope you found this video useful. I think at least we have everything understood, and if you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments. If you noticed anything that I could have done differently or better, please let me know. For example, what is that? I've never seen that on schematics, or what it looks like a Chinese lantern. I don't know what those are. Maybe it's some sort of valve or something like that. But anyway, go ahead and leave a comment if this was helpful to you, or if you have any tips on how to do it better. Thanks a lot.